details on the show for the last 10 years. And a lot of times some of these things happen and it's just uncomfortable to see. The details, quite frankly, are none of y'all business.
Stephen A. Smith said Molly Qerim's exit from ESPN was nobody's business, but also admitted he didn't really know what happened himself. In trying to stay neutral, he actually revealed more than he meant to. ESPN keeping him in the dark suggests that Molly's departure wasn't just a normal business move, it may have been a cover-up. Her sudden resignation on September 15, 2025, after 10 years on First Take, shocked the sports media world. Many believed she and Stephen had great on-air chemistry, but now it seems things were more complicated. Stephen later shared that they could no longer work together, hinting at deeper issues. Behind the scenes, tensions had been rising for months, caused by big pay gaps, creative disagreements, and what insiders describe as a total breakdown in how they worked together. The polished image of a smooth-running show was about to fall apart, right in front of everyone.
Good morning. Welcome to First Take. Normally, our friend Molly Qerim would greet you. However, Molly announced last night she will be departing from ESPN. She's hosted First Take for 10 years and elevated the show with her grace, her expertise, incomparable kindness. She's been an enormous part of our success for a decade.
On September 16, 2025, Stephen A. Smith spoke emotionally about Molly Qerim's sudden departure from First Take. At first, his words seemed sincere and heartfelt. But later that same day, on his SiriusXM radio show, his tone changed, he sounded confused, frustrated, and hinted at some uncomfortable truths about what was really going on behind the scenes. The timeline makes her exit even more shocking. Just a day before her final show on September 15, Molly was hosting as usual, showing no signs that anything was wrong. But that same afternoon, the Sports Business Journal reported she had turned down a contract extension and would be leaving ESPN by the end of 2025.
Not only did she keep me and many others in line, she did it with dignity, class, and kindness, to say the least. We'll miss her and wish her every blessing on her future. I personally am grateful to her for her friendship, and I will miss spending every weekday morning with her right by my side.
What Stephen A. Smith said on his radio show later that day showed just how shocked and unprepared everyone was for Molly's sudden exit. The way he spoke made it clear he was uncomfortable.
Last night, she abruptly resigned as the host of the show. And to say that I'm quite sad about it is an understatement. Molly is a friend. Molly is a co-worker. Molly is somebody that I have leaned on many occasions in the past, as she has done when it comes to me.
The words abruptly resigned are important. This wasn't a slow or planned career change, it was sudden, surprising, and clearly uncomfortable for everyone involved. Later, ESPN's president of content, Burke Magnus, explained in an interview that things got worse when the Sports Business Journal report leaked early. Since the news came out before ESPN could make an official statement, it created a situation where Molly and the network could no longer keep working together.
Been partners on the show for the last 10 years, and a lot of times some of these things happen and it's just uncomfortable to see. The details, quite frankly, are none of y'all business, but it's not as if I know all the details. It was a contract negotiation that was going on.
The way Stephen A. Smith said, "The details are none of your business," followed by, "But it's not like I know all the details," is really interesting. He was trying to keep things private while also admitting he didn't fully know what was going on either. Molly Qerim confirmed her exit in an Instagram story, saying, "After much reflection, I've decided it's time to close this incredible chapter and step away from First Take." But what stands out is what she didn't say. She never mentioned Stephen A. Smith by name, even though they worked together for 10 years. Former ESPN analyst Marcellus Wiley noticed this right away and suggested on his podcast that the omission was intentional and meant something.
ESPN certainly did not want to lose her, but in the end, she made a decision to walk away from the show effective immediately. As you see from her Instagram post, her Instagram story last night, after much reflection, I've decided it's time to close this incredible chapter and step away from First Take.
Let's talk about the numbers, because the pay gap in this situation is shocking. In March 2025, Stephen A. Smith signed a 5-year, $100 million deal with ESPN, earning $20 million a year, making him the highest paid personality at the network. In comparison, Molly Qerim was reportedly earning between $500,000 and $600,000 a year. That means Stephen A. was making 33 to 40 times more than his longtime co-host. Even though both were key to the success of First Take, Molly hosted ESPN's top-rated show every weekday for 10 years. She kept debates on track, managed big personalities, and brought professionalism to the show, but her salary wasn't even close to her male colleagues. The pay gap becomes even more obvious when you look at others at ESPN. Kirk Herbstreit earns $18 million a year, Mike Greenberg makes $6.5 million for hosting Get Up, and the hosts of Pardon the Interruption each earn around $6 million. All of them were paid at least 10 times more than Molly, and just hours after Molly's departure was announced on September 16, 2025, ESPN revealed that Malika Andrews had signed a new multi-year deal reportedly worth several $millions, far more than what Molly was making. That made the situation even more complicated. On his podcast, Marcellus Wiley suggested that Molly Qerim saw other people, especially younger female talent, getting bigger contracts, and started to feel undervalued, even after 10 years on ESPN's biggest show. Wiley said she asked ESPN for a raise that matched her contributions, but the offer she got was much lower than expected, something she reportedly found disrespectful. This is where Stephen A. Smith's role becomes controversial. According to Wiley and other industry insiders, even though Smith had major influence at ESPN and was making $20 million a year, he didn't speak up or push for Molly to get better pay during her contract talks. That lack of support from her co-host of 10 years might have been the final breaking point. Meanwhile, reports say Fox Sports offered Molly a deal worth around $2 million a year, 4 times what she was making at ESPN. If true, it shows that a competing network saw her value and was willing to pay her what ESPN wouldn't.
This is darker last week, but it's lighter today. Way to go, Mollywood. This is Mollywood. Hell with Hollywood.
On-air moments between Stephen A. Smith and Molly Qerim often showed a fun, playful dynamic. But they also sparked ongoing speculation about their relationship and whether that closeness affected their ability to maintain a strictly professional work environment. One lingering question is whether that dynamic made it harder for Stephen A. to advocate for Molly during pay negotiations, or whether deeper, uncomfortable issues were at play behind the scenes. To understand why their working relationship couldn't continue, we have to look at the patterns and moments that built up over their 10 years on First Take. While the huge pay gap was a major issue, this wasn't just about money. Their professional relationship was complicated. At times, it walked a fine line between friendly banter and behavior that made some viewers, and possibly Molly herself, feel uncomfortable. Over the years, there were several moments when Stephen A.'s comments about Molly's appearance raised eyebrows and sparked debate on social media about whether they were appropriate for the workplace.
What is that? I mean, what is that? I understand the UConn fandom and all of this other stuff, that's your alumni, but the nerve to show up to work dressed like that. Ladies and gentlemen, she has not lived up to the standard that has been set right here on First Take.
Wow. While these moments were often framed as playful banter, they put Molly Qerim in an uncomfortable position, having her appearance regularly commented on by her male co-host, all in front of millions of viewers.
How dare you with this thing? I gotta call RC, I gotta get Ryan Clark to get you a wardrobe malfunction. So do I need to put the sweater, the jacket off?
Oh yeah, show a little shoulder. Let's get
the one shoulder. It's a style, Stephen A. It's a style.
Let's get the ratings up when you show a little shoulder.
The "show a little shoulder" comment, made by Stephen A. Smith on live TV, is a clear example of the kind of workplace behavior that has come under more scrutiny in recent years. While it may have been meant as a joke, it put Molly Qerim in an uncomfortable position, having to stay professional while being objectified in front of a national audience. One of the most talked about examples of this dynamic was the vibrating phone incident in October 2023. When Molly's phone buzzed during a live segment, Stephen A. repeatedly emphasized the word vibrating in a way that came off as a sexual innuendo. Molly looked visibly uncomfortable, and the moment quickly went viral. Interactions like these made Molly the focus of attention for reasons that had nothing to do with her skills or sports knowledge. And when contract talks came around, this dynamic may have influenced how her value to the show was viewed. Very differently from Smith's. Behind the scenes, tension was building. Industry insiders and former ESPN employees said there were ongoing disagreements about the show's creative direction. Meanwhile, Stephen A. Smith's influence at ESPN had grown massively. He had a strong say in programming choices, guest bookings, and even staffing decisions. Stephen A. Smith's $20 million yearly salary came with a lot of power at ESPN, and that power affected his relationships with everyone he worked with, including Molly Qerim. On his podcast, Marcellus Wiley suggested that Molly felt she didn't have a real advocate during her contract talks, and that Stephen A's lack of support hurt especially because they had worked together for 10 years. That Wiley's idea is that Molly hoped Stephen A would use his influence at ESPN to help her get fair pay, but that never happened. This seems clear in Molly's goodbye post on Instagram. She thanked many amazing people in sports but didn't mention Stephen A at all. After a decade of working side by side, Molly left without personally acknowledging him. That silence says a lot about how their relationship really was. Meanwhile, ESPN was dealing with tight budgets and fierce competition from streaming services and other networks to keep top sports media talent. This meant tough decisions had to be made about who to pay and how much. Stephen A. Smith was the network's top priority. His huge salary showed ESPN saw him as essential and irreplaceable, but putting so much money into one star had consequences. It meant there was less money available for other important talent, including Molly. No matter how much she contributed, there's another part of this story that makes things more complicated: some past controversial moments between Molly Qerim and male guests on First Take. The most famous one happened in 2019 with LaVar Ball. When Molly tried to change the topic during the show, Ball replied, "You can switch gears with me anytime," which many people saw as a sexual innuendo. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click on one of the boxes on your screen to watch more like it.